this is Hanging by a Thread, a knitting channel where I talk about all things knitting to keep you company while you're crafting. And today we're going to do a look at my favorite and least favorite makes, my top and lowest, top and bottom makes, my biggest hits and biggest misses of 2025. I feel like reluctant about all of the phrases I just used for the lower end of that scale because I don't want to imply that these patterns are bad, but we'll get into all of that later. But essentially, my hits and misses of 2025. So I'm going to do a top 3 and a bottom 3. Before we get into talking about some of those hits and misses, I just want to share some behind the scenes. So there will be chapters here. So if you're not interested in kind of a rambly backstory on how we got to this episode, feel free to skip ahead right to where I'm going to talk about some of my favorite and least favorite makes of the year. Yeah, so it's been about, I think, 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks since I last posted a video. And honestly, I had made a whole everything I knit in 2025 video. I know these videos are like so popular, people love them, the algorithm loves them. And I had made my own one. I had gone through all 25 projects I had made in 2025. I sat and recorded for about 2 hours. I spent a lot more time editing that video, and I just ran into so many technical difficulties. So first, I managed to completely wipe my entire first edit of that video. Like after spending probably 4 to 6 hours on editing, I managed to wipe it all without having it backed up or recoverable. And then I did it all again, spent another 4 to 6 hours, and I couldn't export it. The file was too big and I didn't have enough space on my computer and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. And eventually I got to the point where I was like, I'm not having fun doing this. I'm not excited about this video. I'm not happy with trying to figure this out. And I was like, maybe I just don't have to do this. This channel is meant to be fun for me. It's not meant to be a job. It's not meant to be it's not meant to be something that stresses me out. So the fact that I was getting so stressed out was a sign that I needed to step back from it. And honestly, after having watched myself for multiple hours talking about everything I'd knit, I realized I wasn't that invested in the format. I was like, and this could definitely just be because of the experience of like the frustration and doing it whatever, but I was like, is this even interesting? Would anyone even want to watch this? I started to find it very repetitive, and which again, I had watched a lot of it, so take this with a pinch of salt. But I was finding the format not inspiring. I didn't want to re-record it because I thought, what if I can't what if I can't edit it or export it again? And I decided I wanted to do something different, but I didn't want to let go entirely of that idea of a retrospective year in review. And I had seen some people doing kind of hits and misses videos, and I took inspiration from that to do this instead. So we're going to talk about 3 really successful projects and then 3 less successful projects, and just get a flavor for the kind of highs and lows of the year of my making. Because I did record this previous video, I'm going to try and insert here some stats about what my making did look like in 2025. So if you're kind of interested in that broader overview, I'm hopefully going to insert past me here to give you that kind of those stats, and you'll get that information. And then present me will zip back in and share a little bit more about my top makes. Okay, in this first section, I thought it would be fun to go through some stats about my making. So in 2025, I made 25 projects. Isn't that lovely and neat? 25 projects in 2025. 22 of those projects were knit projects and 3 were crochet. In previous years, I don't think I've had any crochet projects, so that's a new and exciting aspect of my making. If we look at that by category of things made, I made 3 accessories, 6 pairs of socks or slippers, 3 kids sweaters, 6 adult sweaters, 4 summer tops, adult summer tops, and 4 items that I've classified as home or other. So a pretty good mix there, but mostly garments is what you can tell from my making. I'm primarily focused on garment making. Yeah, if we look at garments across adult and kids, that's 13. So yeah, you can really see that my focus is on garments. I knit 15 of these projects for myself, and 10 of them were for others. That felt like a really good split, actually. I think of myself as being a quote unquote selfish knitter, even though I don't agree with that term. But I think of myself as primarily knitting for myself. But I was actually pleasantly surprised by how high that gift knitting number was. And I have really enjoyed making things for other people this year. And that might be something I want to continue doing more of. So we'll think about that for the future. In terms of the yarn that I used 13 different yarn brands this year in terms of variety. My most used brand was Sandnes Garn. So I used Sunday, Double Sunday, Sisu, Tin Lena. I think those were the different lines within Sandnes Garn that I used, but they were by far my most used yarn brand, which makes sense to me. I really like the Sandnes Garn range of products. So, and they're pretty accessible to me here. So that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I liked using a variety of different yarns. There were definitely some repeats, like other repeats were the Barocco vintage line. I think that was actually maybe the main other repeat that I can think of. Knit picks I also used in a couple of different projects. So, but I like that I got to try out different brands of yarn. I also knit from a range of different designers. I knit 19 patterns from 19 different designers this year. I think the designer I knit from the most was Summer Lee, which makes sense because I had bought the Colorwork Cuff Club and was knitting some of those patterns. But I also had other repeats, including patterns from Florence Miller and Michelle Frazetta. So I definitely had some designers that I went back to, but also branching out and trying new designers, which I think is a good balance as well. It's nice to have your favorite designers and your kind of reliable favorites who, you know, if you're going to knit one of their patterns, you're going to like the product. But it's also great to try new designers and get new experiences, experience different pattern styles, all of that. And I knit at a range of yarn weights in everything from fingering weight projects all the way through to bulky weight projects. My most common yarn weight used was DK, which was 9 of my projects this year, and my least common was bulky with only 1 project. So that's a little bit of a glimpse at the numbers. I just think it's fun I'm just a bit of a nerd who loves thinking about the numbers of things, and looking at my knitting in that way is kind of satisfying to me. I'm going to be holding my little mic like all the cool kids do. Hopefully I don't muffle it too much. Actually, I should be careful about how I'm holding it. But because I'm planning on changing in and out of the projects I'm going to be talking to you about, I'm going to be holding it here, not clipping it onto my sweater. So hopefully the sound is okay. My first project that I'm going to share with you is one of my favorite makes of 2025. This is the Anacortes pullover from Mishi Frez Knits. And let me just stand up so you can get a full look at this. So you can see it is a raglan sweater knit in broken 2x2 rib. It's got a pretty boxy fit, and I've got it kind of cropped here. It's definitely shrunk over time. It was a little bit longer before it had wear and washes under it, but still a really nice length, boxy fit. It's got beautiful details. let me come sit that back down here again, including this twisted rib that goes all the way along the raglan and then through the body underarm and on the sleeve on the underarm and then into the cuffs. I really, really love that detail. I think it's one of the standout parts of this sweater for me. Let me grab my notes and I'm going to read you some stats about this one. So I made the size 4 of this sweater, and I used Sanders Garn Sunday Held Double. We'll talk a little bit about some of my thoughts about that yarn in a minute. My total project cost was $162 Canadian, and this has had 34 wears in 2025. So its cost per wear is $4.67. And of the garments that I made in 2025, it was my most worn garment. So yeah, this has got tons of wear. And I did finish this in early June 2025. So it's had that 34 wears in about 6-7 months. So you can tell I really, really love this one. I think my most worn sweater of 2025 was in fact my California sweater, which I finished late 2024. So that had slightly more wears, but this was a high contender and I only had it finished half the year. So what makes this like one of my top makes of the year? First of all, the pattern. I love Michelle Frazetta's patterns. You've heard me talk about her before on this channel. This was in fact a test for Michelle, and I've done some other tests for her too. I think she has very, very clear pattern writing style. She has a really good sense of fit and grading. She's really thoughtful about how she does fit and grading. And she has a real eye for design. If you watch her YouTube channel, you'll see how thoughtful her design process is, how detailed it is. And I just really, really love that. So the pattern definitely makes this a standout. And I just love the style of this. It feels really effortless, but also like maybe timeless, like classic, like kind of all of those those words. I have had my partner has said that this is my sweater that looks the most shop bought. That's not necessarily what I'm going for in my making. My aspiration isn't to fool people into thinking this is commercially made, but it is a compliment of a sort, so I'll take it. So yeah, I think it looks so stylish. You can wear it with anything basically. I typically wear it with jeans, but it does go over skirts as well quite nicely. Today I'm wearing leggings. Definitely goes with leggings. What doesn't go with leggings, really? And yeah, I love this. I really do want to make more of these because it has been such a staple in my wardrobe since I made it. Part of that is also the color. I really love navy on me, this kind of dark navy. I think it's a much easier color for me to wear than black. I'm obviously quite pale, so black can really kind of drain me, but a dark navy feels like it's maybe a little bit less draining. Maybe that's just in my head. I don't know. But I find it very versatile in my wardrobe. The yarn is not amazing. I'm so conflicted about this. So, this is Sanders Garn Double Sunday. No, sorry. It's Sanders Garn Sunday, the fingering weight held double. And it is so lovely to work with. It is such a delightful yarn to work with. It's a non-superwash merino, but it feels so soft, very bouncy, just got a lot of roundness to it, just so lovely to work with, and feels so lovely, but it pills like it pills so badly. And I haven't been doing any and I haven't shaved this prior to sitting down today, but it has had some depilling in its life. But you can just see, let's focus in there, there are a lot of pills here, and there are not just on the sleeves, on the body too. The pilling is quite extensive. And this, as I understand it, is a well-known issue with Sunday and double Sunday. There was a video from Sophie of the Knit Pearl Girl not long ago, where she talked about the fact that she's had big issues with Sunday and double Sunday pilling when they're held on their own. And so she now only works with them if she's holding a mohair with them. And yeah, that has definitely been my experience, that the pilling on this is like next level. So like, yes, I know I've been doing a lot of wearing of this sweater, but the pilling is beyond what I would expect even for having worn this a lot. So yeah, there's that. I have mixed feelings about the yarn, but it doesn't stop me from loving the sweater overall, and it doesn't stop me from wearing it. The overall knitting experience of this it's a really fun knit, don't get me wrong, but I had some ups and downs. When I was making this, had I had started with a different yarn, and I kept making mistakes, and I kept having to rip back, and then I got so frustrated that I was like, I can't even look at this yarn anymore. So then I started with this combo, and then I felt stressed because I had to restart the sweater, and it was a test, and I wanted to not finish on time and be a good tester. So there was all of that kind of stress around it, but like the actual knitting experience is very pleasurable because you're doing broken rib. You're knitting every other row, and then you're doing 2 knits, 2 purls the other row, and then you've got these bands of twisted rib that you're working as well. So all of that was really fun. It's like very rhythmic, but it's not boring, or not. I don't find it boring, not in the same way that I find stockinette boring. So yeah, really, really fun project. Like I said, I want to make another one. Just, yeah, really one of my favorites of the year. Here is favorite number 2. This is the Storsand top from Cari Nordland. And again, I'll get up and show you this piece. This actually may be one of my like proudest makes ever. I just feel so happy when I put it on, when I look at it. It was kind of a magnum opus make. Let me tell you a little bit about this project. Once again, I made the size 4 using Sanders Gone Tin Lena held double. My total project cost was $31.80. And I finished this in mid-August of last year, 2025, and it had 8 wears. So its cost per wear so far is $3.97. So it hasn't had a huge amount of wear, but this is a very specific kind of top. It is very much a summer top, and I finished it quite late in the summer season. It did get wear in August and September, but after that, you know, it's all over lace. It's it's a sleeveless top. It's not going to get huge amounts of wear outside of the summer. So yeah, but still, even with it not having the most number of wears, it is one of my favorite things I made. I'm so proud of this. If you're interested in seeing a lot more of the process of making this, there is a project vlog all about me making this Storsand top on my channel. I will link to it somewhere above, and you can hear all about it. So why do I love this so much? I think partly just it feels like an achievement to make an all over lace pattern. It's and I think it's beautiful. Like, I think the pattern is really beautiful. I think Cari Nordland is rightly well known for the intricacy and beauty of her designs, whether it's cables or lace or a combination thereof, color work. She just has like a real point of view as a designer, and I think it really resonates with me. It resonates with my personal style. The pattern was really well written. Was this my first Cari Nordland pattern? I think it might have been. My only kind of gripe with it, as far as I can remember, is I thought how the increases were explained was a little bit hard to follow, and I did make some mistakes some big mistakes in the increasing and decreasing and what have you around the shaping around the neck and the underarm. So I did have some errors that meant I pulled back my first version of this, but that actually turned out to be a good thing because originally I had made this in two colors. But I'm actually so happy that I pulled back and decided to make it in just a single color because I think that makes it much more wearable for me than the combo I was originally doing. The yarn I really like. It feels very cool to the touch. It is comfortable to wear even in really, really hot weather, which I have found is not true of all the kind of summer yarns that I've tried. Obviously, it's very breathable because it has holes, but also I think the yarn is light and breathable. And yeah, I have lots of good things to say about this yarn. It is a little bit splitty, which can make it kind of difficult to work with, and it is also quite slippy. It's almost like working with something really silky. So I think I'm almost certain I used wooden needles with this, because the slip factor meant using my metal needles was tricky. But other than that, the yarn was really, really pleasant. I had so much fun knitting this. Honestly, I really love making lace. It's one of yeah, it's just a really fun experience for me. I think I really enjoy lace or color work, and I'm sure I will enjoy cables when I do them a bit more. But like having those more involved knits is something I really, really enjoy. And the wearability is high on this for me. I think it goes with lots of things in my wardrobe. I've worn it over kind of skirts. I've worn it just with shorts, and it can kind of be dressed up or down. There are some things that make it a little bit less wearable. So again, I'll stand up. It's obviously quite see-through because of the lace. So I'm currently just wearing it with a bralette, and my bralette is gray, so I typically wouldn't wear it with a gray one. I'd wear it with more of a cream or white one. But I don't particularly mind that you can see my bra through this, but other people's comfort levels may vary. It does have quite a deep armhole. You can see here that my bra is showing. Again, I don't mind that. It doesn't bother me particularly, but it might limit the wearability for some. And, there might be some occasions on which I might not feel as comfortable wearing this. But overall, it's not been an issue for me. And yeah, this one just makes me super happy every time I put it on. So there you go. For the last of my hits for 2025, I really debated which project to share with you here. And I actually don't have either of them with me because they were both gift knits. So there were two gift knits that I was really, really happy with this year. The first was the Ingrid Sweater Man that I made for my brother's 40th birthday. And the second were the Kitten Catch Mittens that I made for my mum. And by a whisker, pun intended, the Kitten Catch Mittens are going to win out. So I'm going to share about this project. I actually didn't share these on the channel at all, because they were a surprise, and my mum does sometimes watch this channel. So they did not make an appearance on the channel. So I'll show them to you now. So these are the Kitten Catch Mittens by Florence Miller. This is a one size pattern that are the kind of like Norwegian style mittens, in all over color work. I knit mine in Knit Picks palette, and I believe the colors are Cosmopolitan, which is the bright pink, and I think it's Mulberry was the purple, but I will correct that somewhere if I'm wrong. And these were just so fun to make. The pattern, so well done. Had so many interesting parts to it. You had the Latvian braid, which I hadn't done before. You had the corrugated ribbon, which isn't my favorite to do, but it is something different. And then you had the color work charts that were really fun. And like, honestly, who could not fall in love with these mittens? There's the cats, there's the little fish on the thumb, there's the like end paper style pattern on the inside of the mitts. I think these are wonderful. They're like kitschy, but also kind of classy and just super fun to make. So even though I was doing color work um, on small circumference, on small needles, at fingering weight, these were just really, really fun. There was no getting bored with these. Yeah, it was just a really, really fun time. Um, the yarn I like a lot. I don't know how they're going to hold up over time. Obviously, they've just been gifted to my mum. But I really do like working with this yarn. It's again, it's a very like pleasant yarn to work with. It has a lot of bounce to it, and yeah, it's just and especially for color work, it is non-superwash, so you get really good stitch definition on it. And it blooms really nicely. So I think it's a great choice for color work. Um, yeah, what else to say about this? I don't know if I have a lot else other than I will say this project was made entirely from stash. So I don't have a cost for you. This was leftover yarn from other projects. So I haven't kept up with what exactly the cost of that would have been, but it didn't use up a ton of yarn. So it might be a great stash buster if that's something you're interested in. And then the other thing I'll say is one thing that's really satisfying about this as a gift was because my mum is a knitter, she obviously recognizes the work that has gone into this. Um, and yeah, there's just something, it not to say that my other gift recipients weren't also very pleased and happy with their gifts, but you get like an extra level of appreciation from a knitter. And I know she told me that she took the mittens to her knitting group, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited that you're showing off the mittens I made to a group of knitters. There's that little extra knowing people are going to get it. So yeah, these ones were really fun. One thing I will say is although this is a paid pattern, it does only come in one size, and I kind of wish it came in more sizes because I know for me, which I have like reasonably large hands, I guess, but for me, they would have been a little bit on the small side, but for my mum they fit perfectly. So I wish there was maybe some guidance, even if it's not going to be like extra charts or anything, but guidance on sizing up. I guess the thing you would do is go up a needle size, hey, and then you could kind of finagle it that way. I think if I were making these for me, I would also make the cuffs longer because on me when I was trying them on before I sent them, the cuffs were a little bit short. But again, my mum said it wasn't a problem for her. So that's just something to think about if you're making it for yourself. Maybe just consider how long do you want the cuff, and are your hands a little bit bigger than average? Maybe you want to size up a needle size, but otherwise, really great pattern. Florence Miller is another person who I think this was the second pattern I knit from her last year. And again, I really like her style of pattern writing. I think she's got, really great taste. And yeah, these were a lot of fun. So highly recommend these. And another honorable mention, shout out to the Ingrid sweater man that I made because I was really proud of that as well. So that wraps up my top 3 makes of the year, but let's now turn to some misses. And before I pull up some of these misses, I do just want to say, I'll give the caveat that like none of this is intended to be uh criticism of the patterns themselves. In fact, all of the patterns I'm quite happy with. I think what happened here were my mistakes, my user error, the choices I made. So I wouldn't want anyone to go into thinking they shouldn't make these patterns or um, these are bad designs. Definitely not. But there are choices that I made or things that happened during the knitting process that made these misses for me. So, caveat out there. I'm going to show you a few of those misses now. Okay, definitely my biggest miss of the year was this stripe hype sweater. Let me stand up and show you it. Let's move the camera a little so you can see me. Okay. Okay. This is the Stripe Hype Sweater by Veronica Lindberg. It is pretty internet famous. I made the size 4 and I used Sanders Garn Double Sunday. The project cost was approximately $150. I think it was probably a little bit more than that, but I don't know precisely. And it has had precisely 0 wears by me. We will get to that in a minute. So its cost per wear is not great from my perspective, but it has been worn a lot by someone else. I'm actually going to take it off right now because I feel weird about wearing someone else's sweater. 1 second. So the issue with this sweater, as you could probably tell when I was standing there and wearing it is hugely oversized on me. And the intention of this pattern is to have an oversized sweater, but my sweater grew so much in blocking that I think I have something like 14 to 16 inches of positive ease. And I just don't feel comfortable with that amount of ease. And I've realized that I especially don't like that much ease in a drop shoulder. I think on a raglan, it sometimes can look okay, but on a drop shoulder, I'm not about it. It makes me feel like there's a lot of fabric kind of bunching under the arms. I don't know. It just doesn't feel good to me. So yeah, what I found was that this double Sunday grew so much in blocking. It went from being a sweater that looked pretty nice when I had just finished knitting it and I was really excited about it, to one that felt unwearable to me after I finished blocking it. And so what ended up happening is I was bemoaning this and was thinking about, do I completely unravel the sweater and knit 2 sizes down, completely remake the project? And I was kind of bemoaning all of this. I was like, do I leave it? What do I do with it? And then my partner was talking to me about it and kind of almost as a joke, he tried it on. And it looks so good on him. It's, I guess, because he's broader shouldered with that masculine body, even though he's not particularly bigger than me, just like the shape of his body, it sits really well on him. There are things that aren't perfect about the fit, like it would be a different length if I had actually knit it. I just realized that my mic died. Hopefully the sound is still okay. I'm sorry if there is a change in sound quality, but I'm on a bit of a time crunch here, so I guess I'm just destined to have technical difficulties with whatever I'm doing right now. But yeah, hopefully the sound is still okay and it's not too jarring. So yeah, I think I was saying that it wouldn't necessarily normally be my partner's color palette, but it actually really suits him. And so he has worn it a lot and has been getting a lot of wear out of it, has discovered that he really likes a non-superwash merino. Again, as with the Sunday, this yarn is so lovely to work with. It's so soft. In fact, I think the double Sunday is softer than the Sunday. It has that almost like lotiony feel, just really lovely. But as with the Sunday, whoo, does it pill? And this really frustrates me. Look at that pilling all over the body, not just in, your high friction areas like on the sleeves, which are very pilled. But yeah, all over the body, huge pills. This has been slightly, de-pilled, but not huge amounts. So at some point we will go over this. But it's very frustrating when it's it's not a cheap yarn, but it pills so badly and doesn't hold up in that way. So I do think that in future I won't knit with Sunday or double Sunday unless I'm going to hold it together with a mohair or alpaca or something else that's going to kind of give it some more durability, which is sad because it's so lovely to work with. But yeah, just something that I've realized over the course of those 2 projects this year. In general, I'd say this pattern is fine. It's a very beginner friendly pattern. It's very like get started and go. It is it is very easy to follow. I did have this feeling at the end of knitting it, even before all of the problems, that I probably could have just taken any drop shoulder pattern, and I specifically even have another striped drop shoulder pattern, and just kind of color blocked the stripes. I probably didn't need to buy this pattern, but I was caught up in the virality of it. But that's not really a criticism of the pattern. That's just I think Veronica Lindberg has done great marketing on this. The number of people who've made projects on this have shown like all the great different color combinations you can do. So that's not a criticism of the pattern. I was just like, I realized afterwards, oh, I probably could have done this without spending the money on the pattern. But sometimes we just want our hand to be held in that way, or sometimes we just want, you know, to be part of the moment. So yeah, and the knitting experience was fine. Stripes do help break up the endless stockinette for me, so I was happy with that. But it is an overall stockinette jumper, which is not my favorite thing to knit. And yeah, so it was very disappointing. Part of the disappointment on this one was I had been gifted money to my local yarn shop for my birthday, and I spent that birthday money, that gift card, on this yarn. So this was meant to be my birthday sweater, so that is part of the heartbreak of this. But at least I know that it is loved and worn by someone, and someone who I care about. So I get to see it having its life and having its moment in the sun. It's just not exactly how I thought it was going to be. Next up, we have my Palm Springs tank. And again, I will stand up and show you this one. This is from, oh, I'm going to put my iPad down. This is a pattern from Knit California. It is a fingering weight tank top. And I knit mine in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. This is the size 4. My project cost was $37.25 Canadian, and it has had 4 wears, so a cost per wear of $9.31. Now, again, the pattern for this is great, and I was so excited to make this pattern, and it does have a lot going for it. So nothing against the pattern. I think the pattern is fantastic. I think some choices I made or some of my preferences are the issue. So the pattern is really lovely. It is very bra friendly. It has these kind of, it has these kind of wider straps. I think I did a little bit extra width on the bands to get more coverage. The underarm comes up nicely and covers my bra. So all of that, really great, really appreciate. I think one of the issues for me is the yarn. So I really like cotton merino. It's a very soft yarn. It doesn't feel too heavy. It has like the memory of the wool, but also like kind of the drape and the coolness-ish of the cotton. But what I found was this yarn is not next to skin comfortable for me in the midst of the summer. So this, for me, I intended this to be a summer tank top. And I cannot wear this on the hottest days of the year. When it's really hot, the merino feels prickly to me. And I'm not somebody who's particularly sensitive to wool, but this feels really prickly and uncomfortable on very, very hot days. On a day like today, today is something else. It's like minus 15 outside. But on a cool day, totally fine, no problem. On a hot day, prickly, can't stand to have it on my skin. And I think part of that is because this is a negative ease garment. It's really close to your skin. There's nowhere to hide, so to speak. And yeah, so it ends up feeling just too uncomfortable for me. I think the other thing that made this a bit of a miss for me is the knitting experience wasn't the most fun. So I put in the stripes. I decided to do a striped version. The pattern is written a single color. And I just didn't think about, and I didn't realize where the start of round was and how that was going to look with stripes. So let me see if I can show you this. Okay, it's on this side. You can see that I have a visible start of round jog. I found it really hard to get a neat start of round in this yarn. I'm not sure why. I did try lots of things, and I did get jogs even though I was trying to do a jogless method, which I don't mind when it's underneath on like kind of a side seam. Like, I can live with that. But when I originally made this top without having moved the beginning of round, it was coming like straight down here, like right down the front of the top. And that was not okay. That was not good. So that was pretty disappointing. And I had to rip back all the way back. I'd almost finished the top. I had to knit back all the way to the underarm and then re-knit it. Which again, this is stockinette in the round, not my favorite, on really small needles, fingering weight yarn. It was a little bit tedious, and a little bit frustrating. So that's another thing that kind of made this a miss for me. The knitting experience wasn't that enjoyable. I'm hoping that I can redeem this top a little bit. I'm hoping that it can maybe find some life as a layering piece, that maybe I can wear it under cardigans, that it can be kind of a spring thing. So I'm hoping that as it comes into this new year, it might get some more wear, and maybe it will be less of a miss if I find it a new purpose, so that it isn't, it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be for, but that maybe it can have a different kind of use in my wardrobe. I will also say, I was just thinking, like, the finishings on this are really beautiful. Like, look at these folded edges, and you've got it on the hemline as well. Like, look how lovely the finishings are. It is really nice. It is a really lovely pattern, and like, I would consider making more of them. Is that true? Because I don't know, like, maybe you can give me your opinion, because if I made this in 100% plant-based when it's so negative ease, would that work? My worry would be that there wouldn't be enough stretch in the fabric for a negative ease garment if I did it in 100% plant-based yarn. But maybe I'm overthinking it, and maybe it would be totally fine. But yeah, that would be my concern. But if I get wear out of it as a layering piece, maybe I'll consider making more of them, even in like full-on merino, because that might be nice too. But also maybe this is just a one-off, I don't know. So yeah, some ambivalence here, because there are lots of things to like about this one, but it just didn't quite hit the mark. But maybe I can turn it around and figure something out for this top in the future. Okay, and my final miss I'm going to talk about today is another summer top. So maybe that tells you something. This was my first year where I really did do more summer makes, and 2 out of the 3 summer projects I made have ended up feeling like a bit of a miss. This is the Cari top by Sarah of Noel Knits. Once again, the pattern, fantastic. I test knit this for Sarah, and I have nothing but good things to say about the pattern, about her writing style, about the design itself. It's beautiful. And I'll say right up front, I have full intentions of making another one of these, hopefully this year, because I really love the design. Let me get up and show you what it looks like first. So this is a sleeveless top knit sport weight. I made the size 4. I use Hyotagan Arezzo Lin. My project cost for this was actually about $10. This yarn was something I picked up in a yarn swap at my local yarn store, where you pay kind of like a $10 door fee, and then you leave yarn, you take yarn. So it was picked up in that. It was also picked up alongside other things, but let's call it $10. I've only worn this twice, and so my cost per wear is about $5. And I think the yarn and my gauge are a big part of why this has been a miss. So first of all, the yarn I did not enjoy knitting with. This is, I believe, a linen cotton viscose blend, and I'll put on screen exactly what it is. It was so unpleasant to work with. I was working at a fairly tight gauge, and it was so hard on my hands. It was uncomfortable knitting. You're knitting back and forth on this. It's knit flat. And I found with this yarn, it was so hard to get even tension. So let's see if I can show you. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of rowing out here, which is my fault. It's not, you know, anything on the pattern, and not necessarily the yarn. Plant-based yarns tend to be more unforgiving, and so you do tend to see more tension issues because there's, you know, less to kind of help you disguise that, I guess. There's less give in the yarn, there's less fluff, so you tend to just see more of those tension issues. If I was working this again, now that I know how to do it, I would do combination knitting to kind of address that. But yeah, all of that rowing out, very, it just makes it, to me, and I maybe, you know, non-knitters wouldn't notice, but for me, it makes the finished object look messy, and I'm not as happy wearing it as I would be if it had a neater tension. And yeah, it was just not fun to work with. It was not pleasant at all. Also, I ended up being off gauge, even though I had, obviously it was a test knit, gauge swatched, and I thought I'd hit gauge when I'd gone down. I think I went down 2 needle sizes, but I still ended up off gauge, and so it's a little bit big on me. You can see the armhole is too low, which is not how it should be in the pattern, and it's like a little bit wider than I maybe would like. It just feels a little bit too big. The length I'm okay with. It is quite cropped. My belly button is here. It is cropped, but I was kind of envisaging wearing it with high-waisted shorts or over skirts. It is also, I will admit, very crinkled because it's been in the drawer, so it would look better with a steam. But yeah, it's just a little bit too big. I don't think that's impossible, and I think I probably will still wear it this coming summer. I think I can kind of make it work, but it just wasn't as wonderful a project as I was hoping for it to be. Oh, I will also say, like, look at this this I-cord button band. I'd never done that before, and it was such a cool technique, and I think it looks so crisp and clean, other than the fact that my fabric is rolling because it's been kind of shoved in a drawer, but it's a beautiful design feature. And the pattern has options for it either to be an I-cord here on the armhole or rib. I did rib, but I think another time I would maybe do an I-cord there. Yeah, look, you can see how it's kind of like doing this flipping out here, which is not the most flattering look. So yeah, I think the yarn choice and my gauge being off and the rowing out have all contributed to me feeling like this is a miss, but I'm still really in love with the pattern. I'd actually quite like to, and the style of the garment. I really wanted one of these vests. I've been looking for a size inclusive vest at this sort of gauge, and a lot of the patterns weren't doing that I found. And so I was so thrilled when I saw Sarah coming out with this design, which is size inclusive. So, you know, fully support the pattern, and I think I want to make another version, maybe in the recommended yarn, which is, I believe, a Wandering Flock yarn. Maybe, is it Cotton Lino? Which is kind of a pricier yarn out of my usual budget, but I would be willing to give it a go to get a beautiful version of this maybe. So yeah, I do hope to make another one of these and redeem myself. But yeah, this one hasn't quite hit the mark, but I think I probably will give it another try this summer and see how it feels once I start trying to style it again and see what I can do with it. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this brief look at some of my favorite hits and my saddest misses of 2025. I'd love to know about your knitting or making hits and misses in the comments below. As always, more information about all of these projects will be down in the description box, where you can find links to my Ravelry. And if you did enjoy this video, I would love if you could give it a like, a thumbs up, and consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps this channel grow and helps other makers like you find this content. Otherwise, take care everyone, stay cozy, enjoy sweater weather, and I will see you back here soon for another video. Okay, take care everyone. Bye.